Hello, everyone.
Hey guys, back again. So this is the number 11 webinar following our 10th one last week. 10th one was the physical one where we were on site. Yes, now we're back to our regular working space at home again. How are you, Horizon?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a quiet 2 weeks. Nothing much has been happening, I guess. I mean, the only part that's been interesting is besides the Cloud Next stuff, which is the last 2 weeks. I mean, even last 2 weeks also, there wasn't much content. I'm not a big I don't really play that well with the AI topics. Like a lot of the stuff just goes over my head. But a nice thing for those guys that are more into the infra stuff. Apparently, CNCF released the whole bunch of videos from KubeCon EU, which happened like quite recently. I think late last month or early last month. So there's like hundreds of videos there. I don't know. I'm like rewatching some of the stuff that I kind of watched then. Like one of them is about using Kubernetes as a control plane for other things other than Kubernetes, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's like I guess the content there is much more on the interesting, more on the technical side. I mean, like this 2 weeks of Google Cloud Next is more the more businessy rather than technical. Yeah. How about you? Anything interesting happen?
I was quite surprised to read into, or not surprised lah, but I guess it's an eventuality that the term ML ops will come sooner or later. So we have, I mean, for more of the application side of things, or application engineers out there, I think most of us would be familiar with the term DevOps. And if you look at ML, I think at this point of time, okay, I'm not probably the expert, the best guy who can comment on this, but I think for those out there, likely you'll be able to see that a lot of processes are still a lot more manual. Like even with my own ML projects that I worked with like a year ago, processes itself are very manual. And I think with application development, they have already built up a lot of workflows with automation. Things like think about like a CI/CD pipeline, and that's essentially what DevOps want to live up towards. And I think it was kind of cool to see that in Cloud Next, like for week 8, they talk about ML Ops and the different tools that sort of can get different companies towards that. That's quite exciting. I think it's a bit into what you mentioned for the infra. But yeah, I do agree that it's kind of like the calmness right now. But maybe I also liken it to like the calm before the storm, because of the coming. There's modular GCP now for those who might be coming over here for modular GCP, and there's also DevFest. Yeah, so that's going to be like two very interesting key, I guess, kind of like key events that will happen for anyone who like Google Cloud and you're in Singapore or the region in the next few weeks. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's our take on things. So let's move on to the next. Give me one moment. I'm gonna move this to 2 screens. Okay. Right. So I guess yeah, let's go into our topic proper. So for those who have been with us for the last, I would say like 5 weeks now, or 4 weeks, 1 month, 4 weeks, since when
Last 4 weeks, this is the fifth one.
yeah, I remember the first one
Yeah.
was a mix with another speaker. There was I forgot what's the name of the topic, but I remember it was something to do with like analyzing code. But yeah, this is the 5th week following the start of Cloud Next, and we've been regularly reviewing a lot of the contents, and hope you guys have been enjoying it. Sad to say, like, okay, well, before we go into that, you can see over here, week 8, 21 videos, week 9, 25 videos. If you're interested, I mean, all of these sessions for Cloud Next are all on Cloud Next, as in the Google's Cloud Next on Air website, and you can definitely peruse them at your own leisure. Of course, things like there are certain time-sensitive events, like the Cloud Hero, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and those are essentially locked to the week itself. For example, this week 9's iteration of Cloud Hero will only run on week 9. But for most of this content, they should be there. I think from week 1, you can even see that some of the sessions from week 1 they haven't been taken down. But yeah, who knows how long this will be there? I think it will be there. I mean, it'll be there for a long time. I mean, because they are all uploaded to YouTube as well. But yeah, you can peruse this at any time that you want. And yeah, sad to say that this is likely our last. I mean, it's likely our last week covering the direct content for Cloud Next, but not going to be the exact last week to talk about things from Cloud Next. I mean, essentially we have DevFest as well. We could likely just talk about things coming from Cloud Next. I think there has been a lot of exciting stuff. Things concerning like Cloud Run, as we mentioned last week. This week we're looking at ML Ops and a bit about ML Ops and things like that. So there's definitely a lot of things that we can cover, like Cloud Next as an entirety. But yeah, it's the last week. It's kind of sad. No more Cloud Hero for me. Like truth be told, out of the 8 weeks, but it's 9 weeks of Cloud Next, but one of the weeks they took it away. I think it's week 2. So there's actually 8 weeks of Cloud Hero. Actually, I never completed all 8. I only completed like 4. So I would say like heads off to whoever out there. Like if you have religiously completed all 8 Cloud Heroes, I mean I salute to you, because it's a huge commitment. But there's a lot of learnings that you can get from that as well. Anyway, yep. So Cloud Next online. Well, that's the last week. Hopefully next year we get back to the physical Cloud Next, though that's likely unlikely. What do you think?
I don't know. It totally depends on like the current world scenario, right? I mean, right now
when the vaccine comes out.
Yeah, right now it seems really, really, really unlikely. But yeah, I guess that is we shall see. Who knows? Maybe they'll like even delay Cloud Next to later part of next year or something for
Maybe.
next year's event. But who knows? These are all speculation.
I think probably with the expectation that things will be online. I think probably next year we'll see even better roster in terms of CloudNext. Like even with this stuff, like I guess I'll say somewhat like impromptu in terms of like to the organizers, where again props to them. Within let's say a short 3 to 4 months, they were able to like scrap up the entire physical CloudNext and change it to an online version. I think that was quite impressive to say the like not to say least. But yeah, I think next year probably we'll be able to see more like IO extended along with CloudNext, and both of them maybe online as like a again multi-week event. I think that will be really interesting. Okay, but moving on from that, so sad stuff is sad stuff, but there's DevFest. I mean that's coming in a month, which means that we have 9 weeks of like CloudNext before. Now we have another 4 more weeks of DevFest content, and it's gonna be quite exciting. This is not just for cloud. It's a mix between the different Google technologies. So for entire month, we're gonna have different focuses on each of the different weeks. Like 1 week you're gonna have like maybe cloud and Android. Another week will be like something like talking to Googlers with maybe something like Flutter, so on and so forth. So basically, yeah, we'll see the topics as the events itself as it comes. The announcement should be released soon on this. Yep. So watch out for this. I'll say this is quite exciting. So as always, we have our stable segment over here, which is Human RSS. So yeah, let's get started with stuff that has been happening on CloudNext. So what do we have for Human RSS today? We're starting off with the new stuff. What are the new stuff that we see? This one is a little bit of a callback, but it's a new thing as well. This was something interesting that I saw within the release notes, and I thought it was I should actually like mention it. I mean, it's not really related to the gRPC proxyless proxyless pods that we mentioned some time ago, or the few webinars ago. But it's kind of interesting to see that there's actually a configuration that you can set in for Traffic Director to set up GKE pods with automatic Envoy injection. What happened here is that, okay, let me see if I did paste the graph over here. So the idea is that you have to add in a injector. There's some instructions in the link that I placed in earlier on. Like you have to go to here. You have to follow instructions to add the injector in your cluster. And for every single pod that you bring up, they will automatically add the proxy, the Sidecar proxy on top of your pod, which is really good. I mean, in a way, it's a small optimization, in my opinion. I mean, the current way of how most people will be doing it right now would be that they will add an additional configuration for that Sidecar that is deployed together with their current configuration for a pod. So currently, yeah, I mean, essentially it's just taking that entire configuration out of a pod, moving it to a separate process, or rather there's a workflow that's already detailed by Google. So you just need to follow that, add the injector, and let the injector take over by adding the proxy. So from instructions, and it seems like this is a more, I guess, slightly better way in scaling up your workflows. Like instead of having to create your own templates where you add in that Sidecar for every single template that you create, essentially you just need to have the injector, and you should apply for every single pod that you have in a cluster. So since if you need to have communication between your pods anyway, like this is something that would be beneficial without having yourself to indicate on every single pod that you need this.
I imagine that it's like injected via some sort of annotation system of sorts, right? I mean, I'm just guessing here.
So I've not tried this yet. I've only read through the instructions briefly. Actually, I don't think it's annotation.
It's not annotation.
That's it. I think we have to read this to see.
Okay.
I don't recall the exact details. Wait. Actually, but what you say makes sense as well. Annotation, yeah, definitely you should annotate before the injector. Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, it's a similar mechanism to some of the systems out there, right? Like let's say if you use Prometheus within Kubernetes or Jaeger within Kubernetes, those systems do have this mechanism called operators. You install the operator on the cluster, and then you annotate in this case, probably your deployment or your stateful set. So in this case, maybe you annotate it with an Envoy some of sorts, and then after that, then this like controller will like, oh, there's an annotation on this pod. We need to add an additional Sidecar to it. maybe it works that way, but then like I guess like what Wei Yan say, probably need to read up the docs. I
Yeah.
haven't gone through this as well. I'm just like I'm seeing like this is like a common pattern for most systems out there. But yeah, this is just my 2 cents of sorts.
So okay, going on another one. So this is another interesting announcement that I seen. I'm actually more surprised that this wasn't supported before, but I guess now it's supported. I mean, WebSockets are not a very common mechanism used across different websites, but if a single application or service requires that, definitely it's something that will be used to a huge degree. So it's kind of interesting to see now that yeah, they're providing a native support between for internal load balancers. So I guess that's not really affecting those that are already using it as a, let's say your front end application using sockets with your external clients like your browsers or your mobile phone, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's interesting to see that now they've introduced this. I mean, if you need to facilitate socket connections between your workloads, I guess that works as well. But yeah, it's again, the comment that I thought this was something that they would have provisioned for before. But I guess now it's doable. Yeah. Okay. So next we have document AI.
Yeah. So I mean, of all the AI solutions that have been like listed in Big 8, this one is probably the more interesting one. I mean, the more exciting ones like video AI, audio AI, text to speech AI, speech to text AI, all those have been announced like 1 year ago, 2 years ago. So I guess they kind of run out of like interesting, exciting stuff to cover. And seeing that this year is like a year really targeted for business, so this seems like a really apt choice where now they are focusing on documents, on parsing documents that's generated by enterprises. So let's say, I mean, I guess if you go to the usual example of trying out AI, one of the example that they always give is trying to have a AI system to parse like checks, bank checks of some sort. And then if you have some sort of automated system to kind of understand the checks and immediately pull out the data from handwritten checks, that would be a useful system for like maybe a bank to have. So that would, I guess, if you follow that like common example, then I guess one of that solutions would be the handwriting OCR here. What is called ocular character recognition, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, so there are different like forms of this document AI. The usual ones that we see out there, a lot of the examples in open source code is like the print OCR, handwriting OCR. Is like trying to understand handwriting via machine learning. Those are common examples. The one that is a bit more on the stranger side, I guess more accustomed for businesses would be the form parser. So essentially, if I remember correctly, essentially form parser is like you pass this picture of a document to this AI tool, and it will understand and put the value put extract out the values from the form and put it in a key value pairing and arrange it nicely for you so they can just essentially it almost looked like a table in a key value pair table of sorts. Yeah, but I mean I haven't exactly tried it. I mean it's still in beta, so I guess if you are kind of wondering how it works, maybe you can like maybe if you have some form that you filled up and then like you're wondering how it works, you can like maybe toss it in and see whether it works or not. But definitely, I feel that this is all for business use cases. Let's go next one. Oh yeah, and then and definitely on the play of all this, the previous one was for more for the generalized, right? So as with all Google solutions now, at least for the AI side, like now you are able to like kind of train your own model based on the generalized model. So you provide your own data and then you do additional training on top of that. So you can like in order to get better results from your extraction process or whatever. So I like for this as well, I'm not exactly too sure. I mean, I haven't exactly gone too deep into the documentation, but yeah, I mean, if you're interested to find out about the details and all, just go to that bit.ly link down there. Yeah, and that's for document AI, which is one of the more interesting AI use cases that's available, or AI products that's available on Google Cloud. So this is one of the other products that I think was released this week, like last Tuesday, which is Cloud API Gateway. So Cloud API Gateway kind of tries to kind of solve the problem where, like, let's say you have like a bunch of cloud run and APIs that you want to like string together, right? And then you have a client that needs to call these cloud run instances. So let's say if you like break it up and then make it into microservices or whatever, having the client to need to call all three of them in order to like get the required data is kind of a dumb idea. So like if you add a new microservice, then you need to add additional information to client app just to be able to call the new microservice. Doesn't make sense. So it makes more sense to actually have some sort of facade in front of all these microservices, which will call all these microservices for you. Yeah. So this is the API gateway product. What that is like what they are targeting for, what they are aiming for. But one of the interesting things that they also do is they can allow you to like add additional security on top of it. So let's say you want to make sure that whoever calls this API is an authorized user, has access to credentials or whatever. You can actually create some sort of API key and pass this API key to the client app, and then have the all API requests you provide the API key in order to access the API. So I mean, like you can use load balancer at all, but load balancer don't provide that sort of weird capability. So API gateway does. I guess it's if you think about it, it's almost like a lightweight RPG. But RPG is a really expensive business product. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. If I'm not wrong. But this API gateway is more on the, I guess, the pay as you go model. So it's more for the smaller boys. But then think that this is still in beta stage. So I guess like for most people it will be a kind of a new thing. So probably in the future, like we'll probably get a speaker to like check this feature out, like, and then that they can like explore more and see what are the use cases and how it works and all. If you want more details, definitely go to that bit.ly link down there.
It's interesting. I think it's I mean, besides security, as you mentioned, things like monitoring. I think monitoring likely it's going to be. I just read it. It seems like it's going to be useful in that medium as well. Being able to facilitate, or as you mentioned, as a facade for all your APIs, and then you monitor, let's say, the generic metrics for all of these different endpoints. I have one question for this. So, is the gateway if you may answer, but I mean, maybe it's also in documentation. Like, is this considered as a regional resource? Like, you can put your load balancer. So in the case of Google, so you put something, a load balancer with a global setting, pointing to different regional gateways that point to the regional cloud run, for example. Does that make sense?
I mean, your question makes sense, but then I mean, I only watched the video so far. I mean, they didn't really mention about the regional level. I'm pretty sure that I mean, I'm not sure whether API Gateway is a global level product or regional level product. But if it's global, pretty sure there is some way to like set it such that calls are made regionally or some sort, or maybe there's some sort of fallback mechanism. But yeah, that one definitely need to check the documentation for that. But I mean, even if that's the case, right, it will probably be an interesting thing to go and explore and find out like what it's actually capable of, and what level, like is it zonal level or regional level or even global level. Global level will be the most interesting. Like you have now one global API gateway, everyone can call it, and then it will like know how to direct traffic properly. Like it sounds like a magical API gateway product, but I don't know. Who knows how it will work. But if it is a global product, right, then I would imagine that the price will like go up slightly more. I mean, because you need to deploy on all your like close like your all your zones, right? At least so that your latency is reduced or some sort of that. But yeah, just guessing here.
Actually, I have another. Okay, this is not a question, but okay, maybe it's a question as well. Do you know about API-G? API-GEE?
That's the one that I was mentioning just now. RPG. I
Yeah.
pronounce it RPG, but RPG. Yeah, I've heard of it. It's like, I mean, I do know them as like some sort of like API. Like you use it to in order to provide API capability to
Yes.
businesses, right? I just know that looking at the brand and looking at like all your pricing notes, all the pricing notes all point to, please ask sales rep for price. Okay, this is going to be expensive as hell.
Well, I think because for API, API-G, I'm just going to say API-G. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. Because that's actually very much heavily featured in week 9, like this week's Cloud Hero. So because I just completed it, and it's like when I'm looking at this in my mind, I'm thinking like, what's the difference? API gateway versus API-G, because API-G itself is also essentially like the product itself. They even say as you're creating the resources, they call it creating an API proxy. And in some instances, when I search for it online, yeah, they do compare it and say it's kind of a similar product. So I guess maybe it's not a question, but kind of like a confusion from let's see, maybe as API gateways, Cloud API gateway gets used more frequently, we'll see like what's the difference between API-G and this one.
There is one interesting feature that kind of differentiates between this RPG and this cloud API gateway. So one of the interesting feature that I remember seeing like a long time back, but I'm not sure whether RPG still have it, is you can use it to monitor your your all your requests through it. Yes, but then on top of that, you can actually charge customers based on that. Like there's
What?
like some sort of like capability to charge callers of the API. So they have some sort of like finance capability on top, built on top of it. So it's a fully featured product. It covers a lot of the ground. It has like even has like capability to generate documentation of your API, of your like this open API representation or whatever. You need to pass them this open API representation of your API of your all your APIs, and then using that they will generate out the proxy as well as documentation for it, which you can pass to your partners or whatever. So it's a fully featured business product. It covers a lot of the ground, but then yeah, because of that, naturally, it's more on the pricey end. You would imagine cloud API gateways like it won't have all these
Yeah.
fancy features, or even if there is, right, they are probably like split apart within this Google Cloud family. I remember seeing like some sort of documentation feature within Google Cloud, but I don't remember where the button is. Yeah, I mean like the number of features have been growing quite a lot, so it's getting harder and harder to navigate as time goes by.
But it's still interesting to see like another. I guess this is kind of a bit like App Engine and Cloud Run, and App Engine now being a bit more less supported. uh, in light of Cloud Run, which is a bit more perform. Maybe this under the hood is also RPG. Okay, who knows? Okay, I think let's move on to the next part. Tips and tricks. Interesting stuff. This is actually from week 8 of Cloud Next, and okay, this is in fact from 2 places. One is a blog post, and another one is the video from week 8's one of the sessions. And as mentioned earlier on, we have DevOps, and now they like Google is, or rather, I think the industry in some sense is also pushing for the idea of MLOps. I mean, not having that manual process. Like, in the past, before we had DevOps, we have people who set up, let's say they get a virtual machine, or they have their own server rack. They install the whatever things there. add the application there, then essentially get a static IP pointer to that server. And essentially, that's essentially infra back then. But now, with DevOps, you have things like infrastructure as code, your CI/CD pipelines. Everything is so smooth, and it makes sense that ML should move towards that. Not have that very manual or rigorous way of doing things, and to see it being formalized as a how should I put it, pipeline workflow, like it gives it a more programmatic approach to it as well. You can see over here, so this one is essentially one of the screen grabs I got from there, from the article itself. So essentially mentioning at every single level, like for example for a CI/CD pipeline itself, in a normal application you would see it as something else. Over here they actually classify it under, like say, a training CI/CD pipeline. And there's different levels to it. There's multiple layers for CI/CD as well. Model deployment CI/CD, there's a training in the center, which is kind of more like the CI component. So I would actually very much recommend. It's a good read. This for this blog post. If you don't have the time, you can read the blog post. If you have the time, you can watch the entire video as well. You can see over here. This is essentially what I just said, compressed down to one sentence. Practicing ML ops. You want to advocate for automation and monitoring of all steps. We have that in our regular application development for regular DevOps, but doing that for ML ops seems like the next way forward, the next intuitive way of doing things. And you can see over here, essentially this is taken from their blog post, where it's like they were trying to do a comparison between DevOps versus ML ops. And you can see over here, in regular application development, we remember the terms of like CI, CD, and continuous monitoring, which is essentially after you deploy application and monitor your systems. But when you are looking at ML ops, right, they are referring to a completely different group of things, or roles that they are trying to focus on for ML. So you can see over here, like for example, for the CI stage, essentially you're looking at things like the formalizing data schemas, getting your models, on top of regular application CI stages like testing and validating code and your components. And then you can see again, for CD, in fact, there's two parts as mentioned earlier on. You have ML training, you have what was the other one that we saw earlier on? Model deployment, training pipeline. And then continuous training is actually something kind of extra that they put in. This is something, of course, you wouldn't see in a application development workflow. There's no such thing as training inside like your application development. It's actually write code and throw in a CI/CD pipeline and then you get it deployed. Monitoring, similar thing. You're trying to, for your production application, let's say if you have something running on Cloud Run, I want to monitor things like the latency, or monitor things like the health of the system itself, so on and so forth. So similar for ML ops. So really very interesting. I would very much recommend look into this. I think, is that link over here? Oh this is the link to the the session itself in CalcNext. And so you can look into that. I think we actually have some more over here.
This is the one. I think it's from the same video that you were referencing. So this one is basically trying to say, okay, like you have your, this ML ops and what you need to do, right? So basically the video is saying Google has all the products you need in order to do that. But still, as of right now, it still like looks kind of messy on what you need to do. But if you follow the arrows within this diagram, like this is basically what kind of needs to happen. But then, even till right now, right, ML is still kind of a very messy process of sorts, because like so many people needs to be involved in the whole thing, in the whole pipeline. So you have your like maybe your DevOps or infra people. They need to understand like what kind of hardware or software stacks that they need to deploy to your target machine. You need to get those people involved. Then you need to have developers who will need to call this inference API to be aware of like the problems with it. Then you got your data scientists, then you got your data engineers, and then Then you have on top of all this, you have your SRE people. They need to monitor everything, the work, make sure everything works fine, make sure your data pipelines don't break in the middle of the night. We ingesting like 1 petabyte of data, and like suddenly 1 terabyte has dropped off the radar. That cannot go. There's a no go in this kind of world. But yeah, I mean, I guess right now, even till right now, it's still very very messy, and like I guess like companies and products, open source code are trying to find ways to make sense of it all. I guess this is kind of like Google's approach to it. So they provide a whole bunch of a whole bunch of products. I guess most of the products they kind of like take power away from you. Like you don't have to train your model. You have this auto training process so that you don't need to think about it. Yeah, so I mean, those are kind of part of Google Cloud's AI platform. Like in the case where you only want to focus on your business goals and you don't want to spend too much technical time because maybe it's just too expensive to do it manually by yourself, right? Yeah. Yeah, so in the case where just now the slide before this, right? That one is all like Google's answer to this whole ML ops thing. But this ML ops thing kind of came about like quite a while back. So there's this thing called Kubeflow. I would imagine that maybe some of these Google AI products kind of took inspiration from this Kubeflow thing. So this Kubeflow is essentially like providing some sort of machine learning flow to the whole operationalizing of machine learning models. I haven't exactly used it, but there was a talk that was given on this during last year's Google Cloud Next. Google last year's Google Cloud Next extended sometime in June last year. So it was given by this guy William PNR. I'm not sure whether he's still with like he was with Gojek, but I'm not sure whether he's still there right now. I haven't exactly checked, but yeah, you can look at the video and see if you understand that. I mean, I looked through it once and like I still don't understand a lot of the concepts like go beyond my head. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you can take a look and reminisce at the past and like see the content. Pretty sure like stuff has changed. I mean, it's been 1 year, and open source projects, especially like the hotter ones, this one would probably go quite fast. So probably need to check the like this video and then after check release notes to see what has updated after that.
Okay, so that's the end of tips and tricks. Next part, we have community content. So yeah, this is kind of the rounding up of the festivities that we've seen for Cloud Next. There's 9 weeks of awesome content. But here's the thing: if you have been even if you have been religiously following it, it's very likely that it's very hard to get a feel of the entirety of like what they announced. And how good would it be to have someone sum it up for you? And that's what someone else did. So they actually wrote all of this, the summary in point form, some of it point form, some of it in short paragraph, of all the things that were announced within this 9 weeks. And I think it's also quite interesting because for every single week, they also link to like a separate article indicating the things that happened within that week itself. And this is actually for all 9 weeks, they really wrote everything there. So I'll say if you don't have the time, to go through like the odd, I'll say 500, I'm going to put a guess out there and say that there's 500 videos so far for everything. Okay, maybe not 500, I think likely it's closer to around 300 videos for all 9 weeks of Cloud Next. Likely none of us would have enough time to watch through all of that. I mean, you can watch some, let's say if you're a beginner, you can go for some beginner ones. If you're intermediate, you can go for intermediate, and then advanced if you're advanced. But if you don't have the time to go through, most of this stuff, maybe you just want to go through the interesting ones, the weeks that you're interested in. But then you can also look for this post, right, to get a summarized idea of like, what exactly happened this 9 weeks. So as I mentioned, summary of the announcements. one summary, and then there'll be like some point forms. So I actually remove the point form so I can like screen cap some of the points over here. But the idea is that, yeah, there's also related article point forms of that week itself, so on and so forth. Yeah, so GDG 11 Club Next All. Yeah, if you go to this, you should get to this blog post. And okay, so yep, that's the end of community content. So Learning Corner. Learning Corner this week is I would say it's interesting because we are looking at a very interesting thing that we're very excited to announce. But before spoiling that, I think just to get to the proper stuff first, this is the last week of Cloud Next. This is the last time we'll talk about this, but hey, you know, we like talking about this. There's things like study jams. Study jam, in fact, I think it just happened this morning if I'm not wrong. But the important part is Cloud Hero. You know, if you are like me, you are addicted to collecting a lot of badges, which I am. And yeah, you would want to go and try out Cloud Hero. This week it's not bad. I mean, based on a bit of what we just mentioned just now about the Cloud API Gateway, of course, it's not using that right now. But if you're interested in, you know, in a company setting up something like that, this week will be really interesting because they focus a lot on API, RPG. And you can essentially just try that out and see if that would be something that you want to use in creating a very quick API gateway for your services, you know, on top of, let's say, running, let's say, Cloud Run with 10 different microservices that you have in GCP. Anyway, so so yeah, this is essentially a link that should go to there. GDG 11 Learning Hub. And sadly, no free book this week. Last week I remember we had that free ebook. But yeah, that one was about Entor. So I guess last week it was more on application development. So sorry, 2 weeks ago it was more on that. That's why and on serverless. So that's why they wanted to put that in. But yeah, nothing this week. But hey, there's still Cloud Hero. And yeah, Cloud Hero week 9. That's the badge. It looks very nice. There's still a lot of spots left. I think after a few like iterations of them doing this, I think they realized that the amount of spots they give usually is not enough. So I think they bumped it up a lot this time. I think last week when I went in signed up for the week 8 one, I think there was only like a couple hundred left. So yeah, I think at the start they are now bumping up the number and adding a lot more. So if you're interested in API RPG as mentioned just now, right? Do go try out for this. Even if you're not trying out for the whole thing, I mean, it's still free anyway, so you can just try out a couple of labs over there and just see, maybe learn a bit of something from there. You know, I also learned a bit of something from trying out RPG this for today. In fact, I just finished this lab. Yeah, so go to this link, GDG 11 Cloud Hero. Some additional tips. Let me see. Yeah, some additional tips over here for if you're going for this week's Cloud Hero, right? Actually, I will also recommend that you go and sign up for this. Go and enroll for this. Search for it. Build and manage APIs with FPG. Search for it, enroll for it. The idea is that they actually, if I'm not wrong, or as I believe that's what happened, because when I enrolled for the first one, halfway through I realized that the second one had almost the same amount of labs as this first one. So I went to, in fact, the last one, the most important one, the challenge lab, is also counted under the second one. So if you enroll for that, right, essentially what happened was that the moment I finished the first one, both of them complete for me instantaneously. So you get both badges, but one badge for this event, another one for skill badge. And the skill badge itself has been kind of marketed by Google as a way of, like, if you want to post this in your own LinkedIn profile and stuff like that, a bit more like certification as compared to like gamified form of the badge, because most of these skill badges come with the challenge lab. You know, that's the lab that you actually have to, it's kind of like a test where you have to do it yourself and try and complete the entire lab without like those instructions that usually they give you for the rest of the quest. Yeah, so it's really interesting because this ends up with a challenge lab that requires you to do that anyway, and this skill badge you can, you know, you can just enroll on this and use it. Put it on a LinkedIn profile if you want. Yeah. So yeah, the link over here is GDG 11 RPG skill. So this will go to this quest. So before you get to this, or let's say if you enroll for this already, you can just go to this link and just enroll on this and then do both together at the same time. Another pro tip is it's okay. So compared to the last one where you will likely complete both at the same time, this one actually you won't get to complete once you complete the event badge, you won't get to complete and get these two badges over here. But that's it. You will be able to complete like a good. You can see over here, this is around 60%, this is around like 40%. So most of the the event batch itself, if I'm not wrong, is classified as expert. So it has a mix of the basic labs and the advanced labs. So in fact, if you sign up for this tool as well, you'll be able to sort of partially complete it, and you can look into completing them a bit later on. And yeah, to round up most of our learning stuff, I think this is something that we have been talking for maybe close to 2 to 3 months now. They are still making it available, so do go for this and get your free 1 month quick labs if you have not done so. Coursera and I think Pluralsight as well. And yeah, I think at the end, you'll be encouraged to sign up for the ACE certification exam, Associate Cloud Engineer for GCP. So this could be a really good step, towards getting there. And I recently seen this one. Okay, this one actually we've talked about this. I've remembered this code, but I see it pop up again. So I decided to just screen grab and just place it here since we haven't talked about it for maybe like a month now. So if you have not used this before, right? Do just try out this code. It should give you that 1 free month for quick labs. If you have not tried out before, or I think you also need to complete like one of the skill labs, if I'm not wrong, within quick labs itself. So you have to at least complete that one quest essentially. Oh yeah, and this is exciting stuff. As mentioned just now, we didn't want to go to the spoilers, and this is very exciting for all of us. We had modular GCP, which was actually what spun off this entire webinar. Like I remember webinar 1 was just modular GCP, and now we are coming into announcing this again, which is very exciting. Modular GCP round number 2. The focus this time, last time it was actually more on like a spread of different topics. The focus this time is on ML and data analytics. And you can see over here, there's this is starting, in fact, from tomorrow. So you can actually pre-register for it first. They should send you that notification letting you know the instructions, and this will last for 1 whole month, 11 September to 11 October. And yeah, so focus topics, learn about it, get some swags. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Free quick labs, free education in a way, and swags for free. So literally paying you to learn, I guess, in a way. And yeah, so 2 main instructions on this essentially is, you need to visit that link that I just showed earlier on. Register, get your 1 month free access to quick labs. They will send you a code in regards to this, and yeah, the criteria is finishing at least 6 GCP quests. And then you need to claim once you're done with this, you can make a claim for the swags after that. The instructions will come within that email letting you know how you can do this. So yeah, unfortunately for those who are maybe viewing this from, let's say, another country, unfortunately this is only for Singapore, but I think in each country they are going to have their own iteration of modular GCP, or in the case of I think Malaysia, they have GCP Boleh, Indonesia is Jora GCP, so they will have their own iterations of that as well. But you could just participate, not participate, but you can just join in, maybe just get the token to sign up get free month quick labs and try out the different labs and quick labs. Yeah, so you should get a link after you register within the first 24 hours for quick labs. So just to show this again, swags. So swags are always good. Hoodie, bag, water bottle. No, this is not water bottle. This is more like a cup, I guess. It's like a cup actually. And a cap. Hoodie is always cool. In fact, if you go for the certification exam, they also should offer you a selection of some of these peripherals as well. But that one is a bit different. You actually have the badge. Like let's say if you're going for associate cloud engineer, they'll put the badge on, let's say, the bag that you get or the hoodie that you get, so on and so forth. This one is a different one just for this campaign alone. So you can actually take this as a target, go for your associate cloud engineer examination and get both that hoodie and maybe this hoodie as well. Really cool stuff. And yeah, that's all we have for today on Human RSS. Really, really exciting stuff. I mean, today is not as much as compared to previous weeks, a bit more calm, but there has been a lot of things like important stuff like MLOps. I think that is something that we will definitely keep our eyes on. This is a concept that will definitely expand more in the future. Maybe as more cloud providers take up the same term as well and start classifying tools under the same spectrum, right, you actually might be able to see a more wholesome picture here. So going into a set of other announcements, as you all know, because DevFest is coming, as we mentioned, in the next 1 month, and we are looking for speakers. And if you are interested in looking at speaking, in terms of related to an Android topic, cloud topic, browser-based topic, things like that, do feel free to sign up. I mean, if we can't slot you within DevFest, we'll try and slot you in future events to come. So, definitely, even if you're a first-time speaker, do sign up for this. We'll try to put you in more of our events. And we look forward to, all the exciting topics that you guys will be signing up over here. Remember, over here is GDG SG CFP. Okay, GDG SG CFP under the bit.ly link. And as shown at the start, DevFest, 1 month of activities, very fun stuff. October of 2020, in 1 single month to come. Do look out for this on our social media, which I'm actually going to show in the next slide. Do look out for announcements coming from this, in terms of our Facebook, Meetup, or maybe even on Slack as well. And as in once we have the solidified, the concrete data, or not data, details on the DevFest itself, we'll be able to release them and let you guys know, what you can expect in that 1 month to come. But mostly it should be something along the lines of like the events on weekends, or each of the weekends, and then you'll be able to participate in those. Also, you should be able to participate, not say participate, but be able to view some of the sessions offline if you're not able to participate in the live stream as well. But definitely, we would encourage you to join in a live stream, because you can also get to ask questions to the speakers who are going to be talking live as well. And so since we're already on this slide, again, I'm going to mention it. Facebook, good stuff. Meetup, good stuff. Slack, also good stuff. Please go and copy this link. I'm pretty sure all of you have a Facebook account. Please go into our Facebook account and join our group. Usually, we'll put in our insights. Community members as well, they will share different insightful articles that they find out there within this group. If you have updates on the event of DevFest, we'll put it there as well. And Meetup, definitely, that's something that we will continuously update to let you know the events that are to come. And so definitely look out for these different social media channels. And with that, we've come to the end of webinar 11. So remember to like. Is there a way of doing this? Like, share. I don't have a motion for subscribe. I'll think about it for next webinar. Like, share, and subscribe to all this good stuff on our Facebook. Do make sure you like and share as well if you like the content. And with that, that's the end of webinar 11. See you guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.